Is Auburn in a spot to make Deuce Knight the quarterback of the 2025 class?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. My partner in crime, Darrell, Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, hanging out with us as we are live from SEC Media Days. Former Georgia running back Todd Gurley joins us later in the show. Very fun, enjoyable conversation with him coming up, as well as some interesting things we heard about Rivaldo Fairweather and Eugene Asante. Darrell will share that. But first things first, Deuce Knight. There's a lot of smoke. A quarterback that is currently committed to Notre Dame. With Auburn pivoting away from Juju Lewis, Deuce Knight was a name that I heard several weeks ago, right after KJ Lacey. And Darrell, that name just hasn't really gone away.
Not only has it not gone away, it's picked up steam.
Yeah.
So to go ahead and set the table, we heard starting 2 months ago, there were three, the big three, the holy trinity of Auburn quarterback targets for the next year, for the 2025 class. And you've got Juju Lewis, who obviously seems like Auburn's moved off. Done. KJ Lacey, the Texas commit out of Saraland. And then Deuce Knight, who's at Loosedale, Mississippi, left-hander, 6'4", 208, committed to Notre Dame September 13th. Okay. For some reason, there was kind of a parting of the ways there as far as communication. What I'm hearing and the sources that are telling me is because Auburn turned all its attention to Juju Lewis. And so that's why there was some communication. But then they started regaining some communication with Deuce Knight, and it's picked up some steam. So much so that there are rumors he might be at Big Cat Weekend at the end of this month, which would be huge. I think Auburn loves him. I think Hugh Freeze loves him. I know they love KJ Lacey too.
Heck of an athlete.
But this is a guy that Charles Power from On3 rated the number one athlete in the upcoming recruiting class overall. Rated him like the number 7 quarterback and, as far as number 7 overall player, second player in the state of Mississippi. So there's a lot of attributes with him that are great. They said in this evaluation of him, he has the athleticism of somebody that's an NFL type prototype body. Now, how does that translate to quarterback? Left-hander, which is kind of a unique thing too, kind of intriguing to me. I think he's got a ton of ceiling and upside. And I'll just say here, when we're out here at SEC Media Days, we can get input from other people, recruiting people, other Auburn, very, very high on Deuce Knight, and hearing some of the same things as far as it picking up steam and momentum.
Yeah. I mean, if I had known Deuce Knight was an option all along, I would have almost been more directed towards that. I thought he was so locked into Notre Dame, and he might be. This is just kind of what we're hearing. This is hearsay. This is rumor. But all the folks that are really plugged in, they don't seem to be like, oh, it's just talk. It's
not going away. The smoke's not going away.
Yeah, folks are really buying it, which makes me think, okay, maybe this is a conversation to have here on the show. And then obviously, if he does show up at Big Cat Weekend later this month, holy cow, what kind of statement could Auburn make then?
This is where we have to differentiate. Nobody between me and you is predicting Deuce Knight flipping to Auburn. But I feel like when we hear noise and chatter, radio chatter like they call it in the military, and there's smoke and there's things that start to pick up and multiple people are hearing some of the same things, it's beholden upon us to just share it. Now, things change in recruiting rather quickly, but I think this hasn't gone away. And I think I agree with you 100%. If you'd have given me the choice 3 months ago and gave me that quarterback board for Auburn, Deuce Knight was the one I was the highest on.
I just didn't think he was realistic.
Correct.
The whole time.
So if they're still communicating and there's still chatter between the two camps and he shows up Big Cat Weekend, then the whole aspect of whether or not he may flip or the seriousness of that changes. But I think it's a name that needs to be considered seriously because we're hearing a lot more of it lately.
What do you think is more likely, Deuce Knight to Auburn or KJ Lacey to Auburn?
Deuce Knight.
Really? Based off of just the chatter?
Some intel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I still think I'm in the
Could
KJ
change.
camp.
Could change. I'm just saying as of right now, the momentum is picking up, and I would be more confident towards that.
That's interesting. Yeah, right now I would predict KJ Lacey, but you got to think if Auburn doesn't get one of those two, I don't know what they do at that point.
I think that the whole – that's a great point. I think the first part of that from a positive spin is I would be thrilled to death to get either of those two. So there's no letdown for me if you were to say you get KJ Lacey or you get Deuce Knight.
But wouldn't you be significantly more thrilled if it was Deuce Knight?
Not significantly, but I would be more excited, yes. But I'm saying I would be excited about both. My level of excitement may be different, but excitement is excitement is excitement, and I would be thrilled to get either one. Yes, if Auburn doesn't get either, it becomes very concerning, and it becomes very much a problem now what you're going to do with quarterback. For the future, I have all the confidence in the world in Hank Brown and Walker White. Please don't. I think I love both of them. I remember how excited Auburn was to get Walker White. I think Hank Brown, what he's shown. I love the quarterback room. Sure. But you got to take a quarterback every class. So the future of the class, meaning you can't go and miss.
Yeah, this whole mentality of don't recruit a quarterback because you already have some it's a loser mentality that Auburn fans have to shake. You have to get out of that. And I mean, obviously, this coaching staff doesn't care. They're going to try to get a good quarterback and add it to a talented room. But yeah, don't just because you have a quarterback doesn't mean you don't recruit other quarterbacks. It's just the weirdest argument I've ever heard.
And don't get lazy with the take. Well, go get a portal quarterback then. That's another lazy take. Oh, you've got a quarterback. You didn't get a high school quarterback in 2025. No big deal. Go get one in the transfer portal.
We're trying to break
No,
it.
you
We're
don't.
Trying to break it.
You cannot rely on that formula.
No,
it's just not. It's not successful, I think, in the long run.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, interesting thing about Rivaldo Fairweather and Eugene Asante. Let's discuss that coming up right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Darrell, can you imagine wagering anywhere other than our friends at FanDuel?
Cannot.
No.
And it's coming. It's coming with some streamlining and some things as far as even Commissioner Sankey talked about legalized sports gambling. So There you go.
There you go. This summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's every single day, like Locked On Auburn. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the Locked On Podcast Network. Darrell, you overheard Jim Nagi. He went on Crane & Company, who is our neighbor here on Radio Row, friend of the show, Jake Crane. And, of course, Jim Nagi is over the Senior Bowl, which we've talked about his quote a few weeks ago about Percy Lewis and how great that is and how high he is on Percy Lewis, Auburn's left tackle. But you heard him talk highly about two other of Auburn's players.
And what I'm loving is this is not just players that are going to get drafted in the league. I'm hearing accolades and complimentary comments made about players now that Auburn may climb the NFL draft ladder. It's not just about getting a guy in the league. It's now is it a guy that goes in the first two rounds. Specifically, I heard him talk about Eugene Asante. So he's one of the fastest linebackers that the Senior Bowl would have next year.
Wow.
One of those guys that they're very excited about, focused on. Obviously, to me, that would mean you're going to extend an invite, right? If you're talking about him now in July, that, again, said he is a absolute blazer at linebacker. And then he said last year the tight end class wasn't very strong in the Senior Bowl. He said they are so excited about this year's class and specifically mentioned Rivaldo Fairweather and what he could bring to the league with a combination of size and speed, and looking forward to hopefully getting him. So anytime somebody like that specifically mentions two Auburn players way away 6 or 7 months from the Senior Bowl, you got to get excited about that and what they can do on the field for you in the upcoming season.
On top of the Percy Lewis social media thing that they put up a few weeks ago. So there's several guys, and that's an example of, like, we talk about how much talent is on this roster compared to a year ago. And they've developed a lot of this. Rivaldo, I'm a little surprised he didn't go after last season.
Yes.
I mean, I think he had plenty of momentum, but I don't know how much of a pitch the coaching staff had to make, if he would even considered it or not. But if he's getting that level of attention from folks like Nagi, I think he probably would have gotten picked. So I thought that was kind of a pleasant surprise. I mean, act like we were getting Rivaldo through the portal again. I mean, it's wins like this that I don't think we focus enough on. Auburn did a great job at retaining its own talent.
Not only getting him in the portal again, and not to sound overly exaggerating, but Rivaldo Fairweather to me is like the equivalent of a 5-star tight end. With the way he's playing right now, that's what you would hope a 5-star or a high 4-star tight end would evolve into. So your point's exactly right. Is imagine getting him into the portal this year again, or getting a guy that you got out of high school as a 5-star or 4-star and watching him to progress to be a potential Senior Bowl invitee.
Yeah, and obviously that's going to be somebody that the NFL really, really wants to see more of. So those two guys plus Percy Lewis is just an example. It's just an example of the fact that Auburn's roster is better than it was a year ago. And Auburn hung on to its talent. I mean, people didn't leave Auburn in the portal that they weren't okay with. And I think that's something that we probably didn't celebrate enough this past December, and I guess this past, May, June, whatever month that was.
People focus so much on what you gain in the portal, and sometimes we need to really be just as excited about what you retain in the portal.
Yeah, sure, 100%. 100%. So excited to see how they use Eugene Asante. We'll get to talk to him later this week, and I assume that question will come up a few times. But all in all, good stuff. Good stuff there. So be sure to check out Crane and Company. That's where that info came from. Before we jump into our conversation with Todd Gurley, Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on my socials on X, Dap6410, Instagram, Darrell Dap.
Yeah. Interesting perspective from Todd Gurley coming up. That's right here on Locked On Auburn. Todd Gurley, former Georgia running back with Bush's Baked Beans. What are your initial thoughts on this expanded SEC?
It's a lot going on, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's a lot going on. Obviously, I honestly just found out that they got rid of the divisions probably 3 weeks ago. I was like, wait, what? We don't play South Carolina. Like, how is that possible? But I'm excited. Obviously. Some great programs, right? Like, not just bringing anybody over, bringing Texas and Oklahoma. These are historic programs, and they want to have a chase at greatness as well too, and that they will have it every week in the SEC. So I'm excited about it.
Going away from this division thing has some really downfalls for rivalries. You talk about South Carolina. They're talking about common opponents. Could you imagine a world where when you played college football that Tennessee or Auburn wouldn't be on your schedule every year?
Definitely Auburn, because I think that's the longest SEC rival between Georgia and Auburn. So it's one of those things now, and as a fan too, where it's going to kind of make me jump and get to those games, because you just never might know, right? Georgia might not even be playing Florida, and I hope they don't get rid of rivalry week at the end. So, that's what is that for y'all? The last game against Alabama. What y'all call that game?
The Iron Bowl.
Iron Bowl. Yeah, just imagine that, right? Just imagine that. But I don't know. It's definitely one of those things where you kind of got to appreciate, and you just never know. You just never know.
When you played in the Deep South Oldest rivalry, it was the week before.
It's called.
Yeah, it was the week before the Iron Bowl. It was towards the end of the season. They've moved it up now. Yeah. I mean,
that's funny because, y'all had that tip on us, and when I was there, and then nobody even cared about that because y'all had to kick six literally that next week, and I'm like, yes, they forgot about it. But no, man, it's. Wait, so it's. How many weeks apart is it from the Georgia, the oldest rivalry, into the Iron Bowl?
It's 6 or 7 weeks now.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
It's weird.
I don't know.
I'm curious, as a college athlete, with your biggest rivalry for a long time being Georgia Tech, although I felt like it was Florida, right? When you're playing, when it used to be Auburn and Georgia early in the season, What was that like to have to play Auburn and then play Georgia Tech? That seemed like it would be, not to be disrespectful, but a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, a little bit. But it's like those are the games that you don't want to take for granted. So that's when you have those former players or those legends come in and talk about those games and what it means to be a dog. And not only that, like, they don't really get too many wins on us, so when they do, they act a fool. So, but it was fun. It was fun playing Tech. I would say it wasn't really fun for the defense because all those guys would have on knee braces. This was back when they were just running the ball like all day, every day. So everybody had to wear knee braces, and it was like full-on live practice pretty much every day. Cut in, like, people getting hurt at practice because they got to kind of practice and prep for it. So, but it was a fun time, and I think we had some good games against Georgia Tech. I think we ended up going into that kick six game. I think we went into like double overtime. I always hated overtime. Just not my thing. But it was cool. College was a cool experience.
Todd, tell us about your partnership with Bush's Baked Beans. It sounds like you love grilling. Sounds like you love cooking.
Grilling beans. So out here on the behalf of Bush's Grilling Beans, they're the official beans of the SEC. Obviously, they're going in their third year. I'm a big griller, so for me to be able to, be at Georgia and also be from the South, and I love to cook on a grill. Obviously, being in LA, I cook on a grill, pretty much year round, but I probably cook on the grill at least once a week minimum.
What's your go-to thing on the grill?
Oh man, I love lamb. It depends, man. I try to switch it up. Lamb, I love. Yeah, that's definitely my favorite. Some brats, obviously some burgers, some scallops, salmon, lobster tails, but and then obviously my sides. I have all that stuff, the corn, but one of my favorites is Bush's Grilling Beans, and add a little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of butter, a little bit of cinnamon, and we just right. But just super honored to be able to be here on the behalf of Bush's Grilling Beans and be at the SEC Media Day like I've been telling everybody else before. Haven't been here since I was a player, and y'all got me got my brain and my memory back going, just bringing up college memories, which I usually don't really talk about unless I'm having one of those conversations with a former teammate and stuff like that, and they're reminding me about stuff that I did. So, but it's been a blessing, man. So, like I said, honored to be out here, and thank you to Bush's Grilling Beans for having me, and thank y'all as well for interviewing me and giving me good interviews, good stuff to talk about, and bringing up, kind of good memories too. So, yeah, I appreciate it.
Todd, you were part of a crowded backfield at Georgia. Auburn's that's been a big talking point of, okay, they've got a lot of backs that they feel good about. Jarquez Hunter maybe surprised some folks coming back for another season.
All I know is Tank Bisbee. He's with the Jags, though. That was 2 years ago, though, right?
Yeah. And Jarquez kind of waited his turn, and now he's going into his second season as a starter. But what's the mindset of kind of the lead back in a crowded running back room?
Honestly, so it was tough for me when I was at Georgia. Not tough, boo-hoo, he's crying about not getting the ball, but it was those games where we may play, Middle Tennessee State or something like that, and 9 times out of 10, you might not be playing the second half, so you kind of want to
pad those stats.
Yeah, no, I was looking at my man.
Walking in front.
It's all good. He's busy, right? But it's you want to take advantage of those games as well, but then also from the stat spot, it's because sometimes you look down on those teams and this is the time and the opportunity to showcase what you're all about and just take advantage. But it's also tough sometimes too, because you go through that whole off season of working hard and finishing runs, and then next thing you know, you're not playing in the second half, and you kind of get a little disappointed. But it's all for the betterment of the game. But then you have the other side too, where it's you're up 40 and you're in there in the fourth quarter and you get hurt. So, but that's part of the game. You can't really fault anyone for that. So
your last year you had Chubb and Sony Michel with you, and that's 3 guys. Now, people talk about it all the time about how the running back room tried to stay tight. Did you guys hang out together, stay tight, pull for each other, or is that alpha attitude of I got to get my carries?
Nah, because you try to set that example, right? Like, you try to set that example. Did we hang out with each other? I'm trying to remember. But it's like I had, you have your certain crews and stuff like that. So I think I was a junior at the time. But then also for me, it's like, hey, don't do what I do. Like, just stay focused. You stay focused, and once you get to year 2 or 3, you can maneuver and do pretty much how you do it. But for me, it was just more like setting that good example, right? Like showing those guys, like, this is how you work, and even if you had that 200-300 yard game, like, this is still how you work after, and just setting those good examples and creating good habits too. Because football, you practicing all day, every day, right? Like, sometimes it just get repetitive and it may get boring, but it's like when that game come around and you have that easy game, it's like this is literally what you prepared for and you practice for. So, it was always like friendly competition, but man, my coach McClendon, he used to do a great job of telling us, like, look, as soon as I recruit you, I'm going to recruit somebody that replace you, like cold cut, kind of like that. But, it's the honest truth. Like, this Georgia, this Auburn, like, we want to recruit the best, and we want to get you here. But once you get here, it's your job to be able to make sure that you stay here and, create a way.
Yeah.
So,
Going back to the rivalry.
I was about to stop them, but they knew better. They knew better.
Going back to the rivalry, Georgia has scheduled Auburn to be their homecoming opponent this year.
Okay.
Is that something you guys pay attention to?
Early, because it's usually like October.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's the way the schedule fell.
Honestly, I feel like homecoming used to always be against like those, the subpar teams.
Right. So it's ticked a lot of Auburn fans off. What are your thoughts on that as like a player?
They scheduled it like that game.
It's like a disrespectful.
Yeah, it's a disrespectful. Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
It's not that serious. Yeah.
We're reaching, man. We need bullet board material.
I don't think it's that serious, but hey, whatever you got to do to hype yourself up, then like Coach used to make up stuff all the time too, where it's like, they said this, like, well, what did he say exactly, right? So, hey, if you take it like that, do something about it, right? Yeah, do something about it.
Yeah. Todd, one more time about Bush's grilling beans.
You see me on there? Like
a little Todd action.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Bush's Grilling Beans, the official beans of the SEC, and your one and only Grilling Beans by Todd. But I think y'all will be also getting one of these with y'all name on it. So
sweet.
Yeah, it'd be super cool, man.
Cool. Thank you for your time, man. Really appreciate it. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much to Todd Gurley for stopping by. Made me hungry. Grilling beans, baby.
Grilling beans.
Thank you so much for checking out today's show. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.